any other food in the world, I couldn't believe it. But sifting through some of this material, I think I might be convinced. It's going to be real interesting to see what Dr. Chopra has to say.
You know, we see all these commercials where people they don't have clean water to drink.
Yeah.
They don't have enough food to eat, but yet they're living, and they're dying slowly because of malnutrition, but they're living, right?
Right.
So we see all these commercials of these third world countries, and I am just absolutely amazed when he made this comment. Dr. Chopra said we have the absolute most toxic, unsafe food on the planet, America and Canada. One of the things that we'll talk about today is what Dr. Chopra said are his 5 core components, I guess, of the issues that we've got in America and Canada that is in our food. You and I have discussed this before. Hormones, antibiotics, genetically modified organisms, which are known as GMOs, and also pesticides. One other thing we've never discussed, Dr. Chopra will discuss today, is rendered slaughterhouse waste that's in our food. So this can get kind of disgusting. If you've not seen the movie Food, Inc., I highly recommend it, not to make you disgusted, but to make you aware. I got to tell you this, though, and maybe I'll share this with Dr. Chopra. After going through all of his information, now this is a scientist we're going to be on the show. He's going to be on the show here next segment.
Very informational, heavy.
Heavy informational. If you ask the guy for his opinion, he can't give it to you. Just like Dr. Conrad Ernest, that you go to ask his opinion. Dr. Stuart McGill, you can't ask their opinion. They don't know anything. Well, George, right. The data says this, and they will not veer from that. If you're a doctor or a scientist, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you've dealt with these techie type people or scientific type people. So
we'll give our opinion, though.
We'll certainly give our opinion. But going through the material, I normally have about 3,000, 3,300 calories, maybe a little bit more than that every day. I was starving on Tuesday going through this research. I didn't want to eat. I know. Swear to God. I probably had 1,500 calories, lost 18 pounds. So coming up next, we're going to have Dr. Shiv Chopra on, and he has an overwhelming amount of information for us that it is imperative we know. And what direction do we go? Okay, we'll be flooded with all of this information that he knows for a fact is true. Okay, it's not his opinion. There's scientific facts, which is why he was fired and 2 other colleagues. And then we'll find out at the end of the show, where can we go? What is it that we can do to protect ourselves and stop eating this stuff that's actually killing us, even if it's slow and not overnight? Okay, so coming up next, Dr. Shiv Chopra at 706 Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket.
On Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket.
Good morning, welcome back at 713 Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket. George D. John on the Train Station Fitness Show. Co-hosting with me today is Dr. Jeremy Webster. We're talking today with Dr. Shiv Chopra. This is the scientist, microbiologist who's renowned food and drug and safety expert and courageous whistleblower who has said, and he was the senior scientific advisor for 35 years of the equivalent of our U.S. FDA in Canada. He said the food in America and Canada is the absolute most toxic, unsafe food in the planet. He said food imported from third world countries is safer than food produced here. Good morning, Dr. Chopra.
Good morning.
So I know it's early there. I thank you for getting up and listening to us or actually helping people to understand what we need to know. I also referred to people going to see the movie Food, Inc. that will really open up your eyes. And if you would share this with us for a moment. Your book is called Corrupt to the Core. You can find it on Amazon, Dr. Shiv Chopra. You could also go to shivchopra.com. It's S-H-I-V Chopra, C-H-O-P-R-A.com. You know, people will hear that you're a whistleblower and you're fired, you and a couple of other scientific colleagues or science colleagues, and they might say, well, this might be a disgruntled employee who's coming out with all of this information. The one thing I want people to be able to do is do their research. How can you prove what you're talking about is true? Where are the facts? Is it at your website with all the stuff we're going to talk about today?
Yes, it's on my website. It's described in the book. And let's deal with whistleblowing first of all. it has the connotation, generally speaking, that a whistleblower might be a disgruntled employee or somebody who's passing information in a brown bag or doing things surreptitiously. All that is wrong. Whistleblowing this term you will not find in the dictionary. This term became popular during the Vietnam War.
Okay, Doc, I don't want to get into all about whistleblowing, and I just wanted to find out if that's the thought people might have. What I'm trying to do is move forward with all the information you have. And I don't mean to cut you off, but we don't have a whole heck of a lot of time. So people can find your information at your website, and it is factually based information at shivchopra.com, correct?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that you sent to me is you said, George, we recognize in America that we use hormones and antibiotics and pesticides and so forth in our foods, but that we might not know the dangers of all of those foods. And I'd like for you to enlighten us through your research in 35 years as a microbiologist, why these are so bad for us. Where is it that we should start?
Well, by law in the United States and Canada, any company that wants to sell any product that may ultimately end up in human bodies must be proven to be safe by the companies wanting to sell those products to the US FDA, or in our case to Health Canada, that those products directly or indirectly will do no harm to human health. That is the law. And the law is attached to the criminal code in Canada, and I think in the United States as well. So in other words, if a company does not provide the required data, it doesn't get approval. If it falsifies the data, then it's committing a crime. If a government official who is supposed to receive the data on behalf of, in our case, the Minister of Health, then that individual, if he says, yes, I have received the data, when he has not, and he says the data is satisfactory when it's not, then that public service official is committing the same crime. So this is the basic thing under the law, and the law in both the countries was revised. It's almost a 70-year-old law going back to 1906, revised in 1967.
Hey, Doc, this is Dr. Webster. Are you saying here that these companies have proven that all these foods are safe?
Are you asking me, Shiv Chopra?
Yes, please.
The companies are supposed to prove, but they have not proved, and there are 5 items in our food supply in both the countries. For the last 40 to 50 years, these are hormones, antibiotics, slaughterhouse waste, genetically modified organisms added later on, and the pesticides and herbicides that go with them.
Dr. Chopra, what is rendered slaughterhouse waste? What is that? And which foods does it apply to?
When you slaughter an animal, only half the animal is meat. The rest of the animal is waste. There are bones, the blood, and organs, and so forth, and those have to be discarded. Normally, the butchers used to throw them away or give them to other animals to eat, and so forth. And now, all that is being collected in the slaughterhouses, and also the roadkill picked up from wherever the animals are dead on the road. All that is put together, boiled up, and then dried into powder and fed back to food-producing animals, the cows, the chickens, and the turkeys, and the swine, and so on.
All right, so before you go any further, hold on. There are people in other countries that eat every single part of an animal. The eyeballs, the tongue, the ears, the feet, everything, all the organs, and it's considered normal. They seem to be fine. Why is this